How's it going, folks? Stu here. You know the drill at this point, so there's not much need in me doing any sort of fun intro. Another month's gone. That month was called August, and it was absolutely one of those months where it flew by and also felt like it went on forever. But it's September now, so we're looking back on it. It's time for another last month on Letterboxd, but before we dive into the juicy good stuff, why not follow me on Letterboxd? I mean, you're this far already. Links are down there if you want to go ahead and follow me over on Letterboxd. Actually, just past 300 followers over there, which is, I know, a small milestone, but it's a milestone nonetheless. So yeah, thank you. But, almighty Stu, prithee tell, what juicy gems have you in store for us this month? Oh, I don't know. How about these apples? Look at that, August, a very toit month. Not sure why I did that. From a general green star to grey star ratio, it's looking very wavy. It's like a vertical C, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't. 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, all over the shop. Should we jump into it? Started a month off on the 1st of August with Zola, which was the last one I caught at not the London Film Festival. That's my instinct to go there. It wasn't the London Film Festival. That hasn't happened yet, Stu. At the Sundance Film Festival, London. Nailed it. I have actually done a full review on this one, so we'll keep it brief, and the link's up there. I can never work out my left or rights for you to watch the full review. But the long and short of it, I guess, shit was good, fam. I continue to love Riley Keough, but damn would it have hurt to wrap it up in some way. It's true, film didn't have an ending, but it did have Riley Keough and Cousin Greg. Colour me satisfied. 3.5 stars. Just a nice, good, solid kickoff to the month. Nothing could possibly stop the good times we were feeling, except maybe the next film, which was The Empty Man. I kind of feel like that's a bit of a hot take at this point, right? I had been so excited for The Empty Man for a long time because it just seems to be growing this cult status online. Everyone I know that's been watching it has been like, yeah, it is really, really great. And it pains me to say, but it was a very, very big disappointment for me. Very messily throws everything at a wall, and it kind of sticks, but also kind of makes no sense. I don't know. Great sentence, Stu. This is why people are following you. Lots of cool shit in here, though. Enough to keep me engaged and entertained, but unfortunately didn't quite land everything in the end. Yeah, it was a weird one. It felt really good at the first half. I really liked where this film was building, and then it just got messier and messier for me. In a way which was kind of fun and engaging, but also did start to frustrate me. Things didn't seem to make a lot of sense. Just didn't do it for me, and I really wanted it to, and I was really expecting it to. 3 stars. But next up in August was another suggestion. This one was actually from Peter at Game Over Reviews, who suggested this one on Twitter. I asked you guys what I should watch because I had one of those evenings where I was like, don't know what to watch, don't have anything on my mind, give me the good stuff. And Peter suggested Starfish. You might want to look away, Peter, because I know that you really like this film. Didn't love it. The concept feels a bit half-baked, getting a little stagnant for a while before its climax, and also losing focus with moments that felt incredibly contrived and cliche. What were they thinking with that whole meta library scene? That scene was so bad that it immediately sucked me out of everything that this film was working to. I think that's overall the biggest thought with this, is that it started to do really interesting, cool shit that I was really on board with, and it can never help itself from getting in its own way. But I did really like the tone overall and thought the central performance was fantastic. Yeah, she was brilliant, and I liked the atmosphere, and even if it's done not incredibly, I tend to really enjoy and get soaked up in atmospheric sci-fi where it's not exactly explicit what it wants you to think and what's going on. You're just feeling shit. And this film does sort of fall into that, which I did enjoy more than I didn't enjoy, but just sort of felt stagnant to me, especially where it was building up in the first half and where it ended up going. Felt a bit deflated at the end of this one. 3 stars, pretty much bang in the middle. An average to good time, I'd say, on Starfish. But next was Koda. I immediately just then thought, no, it wasn't. I already saw Koda, but of course I just rewatched it because that's a thing you can do. I rewatched Koda when it properly released on Apple TV. They just sort of dumped it, which was a bit annoying. And my rating, you may notice, has gone up. We got a bloody 4-star on our hands. What a wonderful film. This is quickly becoming one of my favourite sort of feel-good gems of the year, and is absolutely going to be a staple of hungover days in the future, I know. Troy Kotsur delivers what is now one of my favourite performances of the year. Yeah, I mean, I thought this when I first saw it, but rewatching it only solidified the fact that I absolutely love that man, and his performance is the best thing about this film. That scene on the back of the truck, immediate tears. It was also nice to sit down and watch this with a girlfriend who hadn't seen it when I saw it originally at the Sundance Film Festival. So, you know, watching films that you know someone's going to really enjoy is a satisfying experience in its own right. Yeah, lovely, tasty little 4 stars for Koda. What an absolutely heartwarming gem of a film. But next up on the 14th, we moved on to a film which I'd been very excited about for quite a long time, and I just, for some reason, never got round to watching it. That film was Little Fish, which stars Jack O'Connell and Olivia Cooke, who I love. I'll be honest, I think that was probably the main reason I was so excited for this. Any film with Olivia Cooke in, I'm absolutely there for. But it looked like a potentially really cool concept, a virus that makes people lose their memory and a couple going through that, right up my street. And it was very disappointing. Not a bad film overall per se, but just, I think versus my expectations, really didn't really work that well for me. I wanted to love this, I really did. I find the concept to be a bit flaky, but it is presented gorgeously. Great cinematography, interesting edit, rich score and great performances, but then the screenplay just frustrates me. Yeah, it's one of those. Everything about this should have worked much better for me. All the pieces are there, all of the different aspects of film are working in its favor, but there's one piece of the puzzle that really holds it back, and it's the screenplay. Everything just felt really contrived and forced and not as natural as it needed to be, which is so much more frustrating when I know that if they had nailed that, it could have been genuinely one of the better films of the year. So it was a rough 3 stars to drop on this one. I was really hoping it would be a 4, maybe even more than that, but it hurts just to say it was good and nothing more. But what are we watching next? We went on to a better film from this year, Pig. This was the first of a bunch of films I saw from the Edinburgh Film Festival, and I have done a full review on it. So again, link is up there or down there if you want to go and see my full fleshed out thoughts on Pig. But to keep it short, I loved it. What did I actually have to say on Letterboxd? Lovely folk covers of Springsteen's I'm on Fire are my kryptonite. It's true, I can confirm this now. This film features one. The other one I love, The Staves did a cover of I'm on Fire. Absolutely gorgeous. If you don't know who The Staves are, my friend, that's your loss. In fact, if you've seen Pig and you thought, what a lovely cover of I'm on Fire at the end of it, go to Spotify right now, look up The Staves, I'm on Fire, thank me later. 4 stars for Pig. Genuinely think it could go up on rewatch. I really enjoyed this film. But next up from Edinburgh Film Festival was The Justice of Bunny King, a film which I didn't know existed until it popped up on the press page for Edinburgh Film Festival, and I thought, I like the people in this film. Have I not heard of this? And it was all right. Didn't love it. Frustrated me a lot. Can be a frustrating watch, but does manage to pull off an emotionally gripping character study. Essie Davies is typically amazing, turning in an energetic performance that absolutely saves an often jarringly plotted, sporadic screenplay. What is it with screenplays bringing films down this month? Christ alive. Watch this film for Essie Davies alone. She's absolutely brilliant, and you just do not want to look away from her on screen. What an actress, and what a performance. But yeah, the screenplay bugged me. The character focus shifts in a way which I don't think is wholly earned. Bugged me a bit. I haven't done a full review. I was supposed to. In fact, I'm going to do a little roundup, so you'll get more fleshed out thoughts on this later down the line in a month here. But for now, The Justice of Bunny King gets a 3 stars. But next up from the Edinburgh Film Festival was a lovely little surprise in the form of Ninja Baby, which is again a film I had no idea existed until I saw it pop up on the platform, and I thought, that sounds mental. And it was sufficiently kind of crazy in a really charming way. I really loved this film. It's a Norwegian sort of comedy drama about a woman that has an unplanned pregnancy and sort of visualizes the baby as this cartoon because she's a cartoonist. Probably the hidden gem of 2021. This thing ripped. Absolutely. The biggest surprise probably for me in 2021, not least because I just didn't know it existed, and now I'm like, how did I not know that film existed? Super charming, and as I said, you'll probably get some more detailed thoughts from me later in this month in my little roundup from Edinburgh Film Festival, which is still to come on the channel, so look out for that when it does come. 4 stars for Ninja Baby. What a name as well. Ninja Baby. Just nailed it. Next up in August, I saw the new Jim Cummings film, and if you don't know who Jim Cummings is, he's kind of like a darling of the indie scene at the moment. He just always pops up, and he makes these really great, endearing indie gems on such small budgets, and he's also just such a big part of the online film community on Twitter in particular. He's just great. We love Jim Cummings, and it was really solid. I had a really good time with this. I don't know if it's my favorite Jim Cummings film. But I could see it getting better on rewatch, an entertaining dark comedy thriller that gets off to a clunky start but settles into a pretty gripping, energetic ride. Watching Cummings chew away with typical neuroticism on the film's absurdity is just chef's kiss. It is! If you've seen any of his films before, you know that sort of neurotic character type that he likes to play, and it works really, really well here. Doesn't quite land everything it's trying to do, and does occasionally feel like it's just a little bit messy, but in a weird way, that does kind of work for the story it's telling. 3.5 stars. And then I watched another film which I'd been quite weirdly interested to see for a while, and I'm not entirely sure why. It just looked like fun, and that film was Werewolves Within, which is based on a video game, which I've never played, of the same name, and it's basically sort of like a murder mystery whodunit, but in a snowy mountain landscape where one of them's a werewolf. I had a lot of fun with this. It doesn't really do a lot of anything new and fresh, but it does have a super charming tone to it. Almost feels as though it's missing an act right between characters realizing someone isn't who they say they are and characters working out who they think that person is. Yeah. It was weird. It was like it just sort of jumped what felt like a very crucial part of the story. And it is, I think, the most important part of the story when you're watching a murder mystery sort of whodunit, and that's characters actually going through the process of trying to work out who it was. It's in there, but it feels like they just jumped to conclusions and it's like first act, third act, right? It's weird. 3 stars. And then I got out to see The Nighthouse, which is on a long growing list of films that I've been meaning to see at the cinema, but I keep slipping past and not finding the time to, but I didn't want to miss this one, so I got out and I saw it, and you can see a full review for it on the channel at the moment, links up there, down there. But this was a really great horror film, a refreshing horror film. Been a while since I've seen a truly cracking horror in cinemas, and this absolutely delivered the goods. Rebecca Hall is so good, the tone and atmosphere is so good, and it gets seriously creative in the latter half. Fucking brilliant. Feel like you don't need to go and look at the full review there. It's summed up quite nicely by yours truly. Do watch the full review because I have got some more things to say about The Nighthouse, but yeah, cracking time. Also, awesome poster. Look at that thing. She's holding nothing, and nothing's holding her. We love to see it. 4 stars for The Nighthouse. What a solid horror gem. And then I went next to a film which I was not expecting to rewatch anytime soon. It's never at the top of my list of rewatches, and that was Spider-Man 3. Notoriously the weaker of the Sam Raimi trilogy, and one of the weakest of the overall Spider-Man films, depending on who you ask. The trailer for the new Spider-Man had just dropped, and so I was in the headspace to watch some Spidey, right? But I didn't want to watch the ones which I always go back and rewatch. Your Spider-Man 2s, your Spider-Mans, your other Spider-Man. How many times can I just say Spider-Man? So I went for Spider-Man 3, and it's still frustrating. I don't think this film's as terrible as some people will tell you. But it is a mess. It's just undeniably just too much going on in this film. Just a bloated, messy time. A mixture of great moments, weird moments, funny moments, unintentional and intentional, and just plain stupid shit. It is so silly, this film, in a way which is sometimes like, yeah, obviously Raimi knows what he's doing is silly and over the top. It's Raimi. But also, sometimes you're just like, that is so dumb, and the film is not acknowledging that this is so dumb at all. Weirdly, I like the very start of this film. Like, the setup to this film is good. And so when I rewatched it this time, I was like, huh, I don't know if I might be in for like a genuine surprise with this rewatch. Like a film which I used to really not like, and now I'm like, this is really good. But then the things that are things in Spider-Man 3 start happening, and it is an undeniable mess. There is something to say about the fact that Raimi does at least make things interesting on the whole, where a lesser director would have just made this an unbelievable train wreck. 2.5 stars, bang in the middle. Really didn't hate it, but didn't really think it was very good at all. And then we finish the month up with a rewatch of an absolute comedy classic. It's Team America World Police. I hadn't seen this one for a while, and I've seen it many, many, many times throughout my life. Still unbelievably funny, and I will always love just how much it nails the action movie tropes. It really does, and it's so, I don't know, it's so endearing when I watch this film, because yes, it's just doing stupid, dumb, ridiculous shit. Obviously, that's the point in it. But it's also genuinely really, really well made. It's a very well crafted film, and it knows the action films it's taking the piss out of. And so it does those action movie tropes so well, it's almost eerie. But I am starting to sour on a few of the running jokes, and it absolutely kills me to feel like that when this has always been one of my untouchable comedies. It's true. There are some jokes here that are starting to increasingly feel just off, right? There are the obvious ones. I mean, the Film Actors Guild running joke now increasingly just feels so off. So 4 stars for Team America World Police. And that's it. That's the end of August. I feel like these months are getting shorter. I don't know if it's me getting worse at logging on Letterboxd or if it's just me getting busier. Who knows? Hopefully September is going to be filled with more reviews. I know for a fact October is going to be rammed with reviews because of the London Film Festival, so look forward to that. But of course, let me know what you've been watching through August, because there was a whole 31 days there. I know you done watch some shit. Let me know what you watched in the comments down below. We'll have a little chat. And also, leave some recommendations for films that you want me to check out next month, and I'll try and get around to them. And who knows, you might get mentioned on next month's Last Month on Letterboxd. Of course, follow me on Letterboxd if you haven't already. Links are down below. And if you do fancy it, give the channel a subscribe. Helps me out big time. Means you don't miss future reviews, because that's just how YouTube works. See you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films. But until next time, keep on letterboxing. No, I don't think I will use that one again. Terrible.